Coach, how was the fall?
Good. I think competitive. Everybody made it through relatively healthy and made it into the holiday season pretty good, and everybody's back ready to go. So yeah, all in all, successful.
Speaking of health, Tyler Meyer, how's he progressing?
Tyler's doing great. He's back up arm strength wise, back to what he was pre-injury, or very close to it, I should say. And now it's just a matter of fine tuning and getting him back sharp, I guess, and getting the pitch ability back to where it was. But arm strength right now and that was something that was kind of up and down all fall. But he's at a point now where I think he's got a very, very good chance to help us and get back to form.
With him now coming back and the rotation being really young, how do you see that shaping up at this point?
Important, for lack of a better term. I think whether or not he cracks into that rotation, at some point throughout the year, we'll see. Early on, I think it's probably a little bit rushed to say have him out there opening weekend, to start a game. But he's going to be, hopefully here in the next 3 weeks, he continues to progress to the point where, we do have a tough decision to make whether or not we start him or, have him coming out of the bullpen. One way or another, he's going to contribute a lot, I think, if he's healthy.
Is it a blur that you had some off time and now you're back here already?
Sorry, what was the question?
Is it like a blur with the off season?
There's not much off season. The players, some of them go home and some of them stick around, but for the job of us, we have always something going on, whether it's fundraising or meeting donors or something like that. There's always something going on. So yeah, it has been a blur. We're eager to get going.
What kind of stands out the most to you about the construction of the roster?
I think the depth from a position player standpoint is going to be key. And then the youth of our pitching staff, but also the talent with it that goes along with it, I think is good. So we have a nice mix of guys. They're the right type of guys. I think just they mesh well together. Top to bottom, the roster gets along well and competes very well. The work ethic has been tremendous, and I think at the end of the day, the competition amongst guys for playing time and for jobs has been great. And to have kind of that depth that in case we have an injury or something like that, to be able to plug in the next guy instead of scramble, is a big plus.
What are your kind of emotions and thoughts too leading this team into the final season of Pac-12 baseball?
Obviously, have my own thoughts about the Pac-12 dissolving, and that's been a great conference for 100 plus years. But being it's the last year, we're not going to put any extra emphasis on it other than going out and trying to win games. So hopefully we're there at the end.
Coach, talk about the youth of this roster, specifically a lot of the freshmen. How have they just been melding together in the clubhouse so far through the offseason program?
They've been great. A lot of freshman arms, of course. Some freshman position players as well. They've come in and done a great job of fitting in with the work ethic, mindset, mentality that we're trying to preach. So the biggest thing for them is getting experience. You don't get that without experience. So they'll be thrown into the fire and find out how they react.
What are the expectations for your veteran arms as well, considering how much you have?
They are going to serve a huge role. Whether or not they're starting or being the first guys out of the pen to calm the waters in case youth rears its head or whatever. But I think it's important for me and Sam to manage that in a way to where we have a security blanket in case something goes haywire, to where we have those veteran guys that are able to calm things down if necessary.
How did it pan out to have the young arms go up against all of the bats? And we've talked about the challenges of them sort of going through that and trial by fire in the fall.
I think it's good when they're facing this type of lineup that they faced all fall. They realize that this isn't high school anymore, right? They can't make mistakes over the plate and blow it by guys. They're gonna get punished if they don't make good pitches. So having the luxury of facing a pretty good lineup regardless of what team, that's the depth of our offense has been pretty good. So regardless of what team they were pitching for, they were facing some good hitters, and can't get away with a weeks without getting burned by it. So I think that's been good. They're able to understand what quality pitches are, and having to work ahead in accounts, and the free bases will kill you, all the stuff we preached upon here for a couple years. So hopefully that comes to fruition.
Coach,
Another highly ranked transfer class. What have you seen from the new guys?
We've gotten the right ones. I think you look at position player wise, Harris Williams is going to be a huge contributor for us. Mario Demera is a nice addition with the bat. Lance is another nice addition with a guy that can swing it. Josiah Cromwick adds us some depth behind the plate and another quality bat. There's just a lot of guys, and then I think when you look at arm wise, Connor Markle will be a weekend starter for us. Nice left-handed guy, the veteran guy that again can calm the waters and eat up a bunch of innings. Hunter Omelet, back in arm. Sean Fitzpatrick is a nice left-handed arm from Arkansas that will eat up innings, just to get another good veteran left-handed arm that we have. So when you mix in guys like that and start adding it up, it's and then just the idea and the fact that they're just anxious to play and contribute and be a part of ASU is what really speaks volumes for them, and they're going to contribute a lot.
How do you think that weekend rotation is shaping up?
It's not fully defined yet, but it's one that we have a lot of options, which is good. So it'll be kind of up to who steps up the most here in the next 2-3 weeks, and we have an idea who we're comfortable with right now, but there are certainly some other arms. Ben Jacobs is another arm I forgot to mention a minute ago on transfers, who is every bit talented enough to be on the weekend. It's just a matter if he can kind of put it all together, and he's a guy that can really be chomping at the bit to earn a weekend spot as well. So we have a lot of options. We're just going to see who we feel is the best fit when we get there.
You're going to have some tough decisions to make in the lineup in the fall. Did you get any clarity on that? Guys getting some separation, especially at the positions where you have to fill vacancies, middle infield, corner outfield spots. Where are you at in that process?
There's a little bit of clarity, but in a standpoint of maybe who runs out there on Friday. But there are a lot of guys who are going to play. We got some freshmen that are on the heels of the upperclassmen in the middle infield that very well could find themselves starting. Whether or not there'll be a handful of guys that start every day, assuming they're healthy. But other than that, man, there's dogfight, and there's guys that have earned playing time. That's encouraging. We're gonna challenge for me will be to try to keep all those guys sharp and mix them in and out of the lineup when we can, and give them opportunities to play and stay sharp, because things happen throughout a year, and if a guy goes down, we need to have somebody else ready to go. But bottom line, good problems to have.
Do you anticipate that rotation? You said that you had an idea of what that could look like for the weekend. Do you anticipate that being mostly younger arms, or do you expect some of the veterans to kind of compete for those as well?
Nice mix of both. I think you're going to see some freshmen, in that rotation certainly. And Connor Markle would be a guy I could say right now is probably earned himself a weekend spot. Thomas Burns will be in that mix on the weekend. Most likely, and then Sunday's kind of a crapshoot, I think. Depending on which way we want to go. We have some talented guys that maybe aren't in the zone as much as I would like right now, and we got some guys that are just pound the heck out of the zone. So maybe don't have the wow factor, but they get outs and they compete. So we have a nice mix, and then we got some older guys, Matty Teeting, Jonah Giblin, those guys that have started in the past that do a great job if we need them to. If we need them to start, they can. If not, they'll be the first guys up, or maybe late in the game too. So we have some options, which is good.
Regarding Brandon Compton and Cole Carlone, both have experience being two-way players. Do you want to use them as two-way guys, or do you want them to focus on one side? How do you plan to use them?
Both of them have the talent to do both. And Compton right now, I think, is a little bit further ahead offensively than defensively, or than on the mound. I anticipate his arm talent is off the charts. We just, coming back from Tommy John, still trying to kind of find the zone consistently is something we're not to the point where we feel ready to throw him into a game yet. But offensively, he'll be a guy that's in the mix in that left field DH type spot. And then Carlone is a guy that I think is kind of the opposite. I think he's further ahead on the mound. Could be a starter, could be a closer. And he's got that kind of arm talent where he's good. He's a guy that we're trying to figure out what's going to be best for this team. Again, whether or not he's a weekend starter or he's a back end guy, one of the two, will be key.
The new 40-player roster cap is 39-man roster you have right now. Expect to sort of take that into the season, or are there still moving pieces in terms of what you expect to happen in the dugouts?
We don't want to get anybody too comfortable, but I think with what we have is what we're going with, and there'll be some guys that just probably won't find themselves getting a lot of action or any action this year, but we've had those conversations with a couple of those guys to where they know there's no free rides here. You still got to work and improve and get better and try to find yourself in there and earn some playing time, and whether or not they get it this year or not, it's up to them. On how they progress and what kind of work they put in here over the next couple months. But we're gonna try to hone it down to our top 12 or 13 arms. Those will be the guys that get the lion's share innings, and position player wise same way. With guys hopefully ready to perform in case someone stumbles or God forbid gets hurt.
Coach, what would you say in comparison to players like Ryan, Jacob, New, who were huge parts of your offense last year? What kind of leadership qualities are you expecting from them to put on to a lot of the younger guys?
I mean, I think our strength and our leadership comes from the position, primarily the position player group with their experience. We have some arms that have been around too with Matt Teeding and Jonah Giblin and Connor Markle, although not here, other places, but. We're expecting those guys to lead us, be our leaders in there, and that's what we're going to rely on is those guys, using their experience that they've had, and that's a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times in college baseball, the experience plays well. So I expect that for our position group.
Now that you have a couple seasons under your belt, are you looking at this preseason a little bit differently than you did years prior? What are some of the similarities or differences that you feel like you've encountered so far?
As far as preseason, the non-conference
coming up right now, going into the season.
I think we're in a understand what works and what doesn't, and just it reiterates what regardless if it was my first year or my third year, I understand that. We're not reinventing the game. We still got to throw strikes and work ahead. And hopefully we are in a better position where we have guys that can do that more frequently than we have in the last year or two. So from a pitching standpoint, that my mentality, my mindset hasn't changed on that front. And then position player wise, offensively, I think we have added a few more layers, I think, to our offense a little bit, that we're hopefully going to be able to do a few more things and move guys around if we have to, and we're not going to be so pigeonholed into having to have one style of offense, which would be good.
Having a third bait assistant on staff, how is that from your standpoint helped with distribution of responsibilities, spreading things out maybe a little bit across the
it frees me up a little bit to do a number of different things, which has been extremely helpful. Anthony Gillich has been great. He's energetic, ready to work. Has taken a lot of the detail work that takes a lot of time, the base running, the bunting, all that type of stuff. Taking that off my plate, which has been great, and allows me to roam around and get intermix with pitchers once in a while, or catchers once in a while, which in the past I haven't had that chance to do a whole lot. But I think that having that third guy has just been extremely valuable for us. You had a question.
6 of your new freshmen are Valley locals. What are you most excited about having locals on the team?
Great question. I think that they have a little extra pride, in the fact that they grew up here and they're playing for ASU, and that was something as when we came in as a staff that we wanted to do, that I wanted to do was maintain having our local guys or our better local talent try to stay here in Tempe, and having Braden Barnes and Cole Carlone and Wyatt Halverson, these guys that are homegrown and right in our backyard, I think is huge. They have a little extra sense of maroon and gold in their blood, which is great. So love having that. The program means something to them a little bit more than most, and it's just goes back to growing up here and understanding that's they want to play right here at ASU, and they're not jumping ship to go leave town and go somewhere else. So to me, that's very important, and happy to have them.
Kenny's talked about it in football a little bit, but does that affect how you approach transfers at all? If it's a guy that maybe ASU didn't get the first time around, but you can get them to come back home to represent ASU?
Well, I think if we're aware of those guys, obviously I've been around a couple of years to where we understand the local guys that we were maybe recruiting that didn't come here, or that we didn't recruit and still went elsewhere, that we keep a tab on to see if they end up jumping to the transfer portal at some point in time. It's important for us to have that, and also to have the ability to have depth on our coaching staff, to have the hours, to get back to your question on having a third coach, to be able to keep up with all that, right? And say, okay, hey, this kid's from high school locally here, he jumped in the portal, and beyond that, as it might be a guy that we want, maybe want to try to bring back home if he is in the portal. So moving forward, hopefully this is a program that we build with our freshmen year after year, and layer them on top of each other. That's kind of what the goal is now that we've gotten through the growing pains of the portal the first couple years where it was a necessity. I think we'll still use it on occasion, but to live and die by it every year here on out, I trust our recruiting process on the front end, and hopefully we can keep layering on the freshmen on top of each other that can be here for 3 or 4 years and understand what we're trying to teach as a program. And this portal is challenging, but I think you can still build a good culture and the right type of culture with guys that want to hopefully stay here for their full education and full baseball experience at the same time. So that's my goal.
Coach, has the recruiting approach changed over the last couple of years, especially with the impending move to the Big 12, whether it's freshmen or transfers?
I think it's the end game stays the same. You try to get the right type of kids. You try to get the ones in here that want to be here, that aren't going to jump ship and leave you high and dry. Those you want the ones that feel that Arizona State's special, and they know they're coming here to get a great education. There's over 350 majors over there that they can get. That's a huge selling point. We turned into a pretty dang good academic school along with an athletic school, which is great. That's changed from when I was here a little bit. We were more of a party school, and I think to an extent we still have that around, but we are a very good academic school as well, with some top 10 majors over there that are impressive. So they're coming here to get a great education and then learn the game of baseball and continue to develop and have that experience of playing at ASU. We want guys that understand the importance of that and want to be here, and not just be here for a year and catapult off to the next place. It's important that this is a 4-year decision for the rest of your life, and that's what we try to preach here. And we're getting guys that are buying into that, which is great.
Your first game is against Santa Clara in a couple of weeks. What mindset are you telling the team to go into?
They are going to be, don't let the name fool you. They are tough. They are a good team. They were a regional champion, a regional final team last year, and knocked out U of A, so I applaud them for that. And they're good. They are returning a lot of those players from last year's team that was a tough team in the regionals. So they have some experienced arms. They got some very experienced position players that are back, so they're not going to be intimidated by coming in to play ASU. We got our work cut out for us opening weekend, and to be perfectly transparent, when I put them on the schedule a couple years ago. I didn't anticipate that, but they credit to their coaching staff for doing a very good job in building that program quickly. That they're going to be tough. Opening weekend, we got our hands full, and we're going to have to play really good baseball to beat them.
Santa Clara is
You're
kind of.
focused on Santa Clara, coach, but is there any other non-conference games that kind of caught your attention when you first saw the schedule?
I think when you look at our schedule, all of them, there are no cupcakes, there's no layups. From an opening weekend to our first midweek against Kansas State, who's top 25. Ohio State's going to be very tough and improved with a great coaching staff that's moved up there. A&M and TCU don't need any introduction. We're going to go down and play them at Globe Life. The Utah Valleys of the world, they're tough and well coached, so we don't have any layups. UNLV, Texas Tech at the end of the year, all of our non-conferences. I'm not going to get burned by RPI and shrink the schedule. That once was enough for me and whoever makes those decisions on RPI. I'm still trying to figure that out, I guess, but I didn't want strength of schedule to be a factor. Maybe bit off a little more than I could chew. We got to win games too, but every game we play is going to be a difficult one.
Thanks, coach.
You bet.